Okay, welcome back. Exciting one for anyone who doesn't have a really clear picture of Joshua. Who was Joshua? He's the guy who's about to um, lead the entire nation. So in Numbers 27, verse 18, it says, Yehovah spoke to Moshe, take Yehoshua, son of Nun, with you, a man in whom is the Spirit, and you shall lay your hand on him, and shall set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and give him charge before their eyes, and shall put some of your esteem on him, so that all the congregation of the children of Israel obey him. And he is to stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall inquire before Yehovah for him by the justice of the Urim. At his word they go out, and at his word they come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him, all the congregation. And Moshe did as Yehovah commanded him, and took Yahushua and set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation, and laid his hands on him, and gave him a charge as Yehovah commanded by the hand of Moshe. Okay, so we should reckon with who Yahushua is, so that we can start to build a picture of this man who is to lead Israel. In 1 Chronicles 7:20-27, it says, and the sons of Ephraim, Shuthalach, and Bered his son, and Tachath his son, and Eladah his son, and Tachath his son, and Zavad his son, and Shuthalach his son, and Etzer and Elad. But the men of Gath, who were born in that land, slew them, because they came to take their livestock. And Ephraim their father mourned many days, and his brothers came to comfort him. And when he went in to his wife, she conceived and bore a son. And he called his name Beriah, because evil had come upon his house. And his daughter was She'erah, who built lower and upper Beth Horon, and Utzan She'erah. And Rephach was his son, as well as Resheph, and Talach his son, and Tachan his son. Ladan his son, and now some people that are important to understand who Yahushua is. Okay, we know, we've mentioned before, that he's from the tribe of Ephraim. We've got Amihud his son, Elishama his son, Nun his son, and Yahushua his son. Yahushua, son of Nun, son of Elishama, son of Amihud. That's who he is. In Numbers 1 verse 10, when the heads of the fathers' tribes are being elected by Yehovah, he says, from the sons of Yosef, from Ephraim, Elishama, son of Amihud, from Manasseh, Gamliel, son of Pedazur. So that is the head of the father's tribe in the first generation. Elishama's son was Nun. Nun was the father of Yahushua. So within Yahushua's lineage, you have leaders of Israel. That doesn't really give us too much of an insight into who Joshua is. In Exodus 24:13-15, this is just before Yehovah gives Moshe the Torah. They conclude the covenant, and then Yehovah says, now come up to the mountain and I will give you the Torah. It says, and Moshe arose with his assistant Yahushua, and Moshe went up to the mountain of Elohim. So there we have Yahushua. First time that we see him. Moses arose with his assistant. That's who Yahushua is. And he said to the elders, wait there for us until we come back to you. We come back to you. They're both going to go up to the mountain. And see, Aharon and Hur are with you. Whoever has matters, let him go to them. So Aharon and Hur, they're left in charge. Yahushua accompanies him to the mountain. And Moshe went up into the mountain, and a cloud covered the mountain. So Yahushua is left at the base of the mountain. That means that Yahushua is not present for the sin of the golden calf. In Exodus 32:15 to 18, it says, And Moshe turned and went down from the mountain, and in his hand were 2 tablets of the witness, tablets written on both their sides, written on the one and on the other. And the tablets were the work of Elohim, and the writing was the writing of Elohim engraved on the tablets. This is very similar, actually, to something that we see in Yahushua's life when they engrave the Torah on the altar. This is the writing of men at that point, but there's certain parallels there, many more parallels that we'll see as we go through this. And Yahushua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, and he said to Moshe, a noise of battle in the camp. But he said, it's not the sound of those who shout of might, nor is it the sound of those who cry out in weakness, but the sound of singing that I hear. So this is the first time that we see Yahushua speak. And what he says is actually not correct. Moshe says, no, it's not like that. It's like that. It's like this. And Yahushua very much is Moshe's assistant. He's learning from Moshe as he goes. Exodus 33 verse 11. So just after this, it tells us, Thus Yahovah spoke to Moshe face to face, as a man speaks to his friend, and he would return to the camp. But his servant Yahushua, son of Nun, a young man, did not leave the tent. So this is the tent of meeting. Yahushua is going in as Moshe's assistant, and while Moshe is going back to the camp, Yahushua did not leave the tent. Numbers 11:27 to 29, it says, A young man ran and informed Moshe and said, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Yahushua, son of Nun, Moshe's assistant from his youth, answered and said, Moshe, my master, forbid them. Then Moshe said to him, Are you jealous for my sake, or zealous for my sake, the same word? Oh, that all the people of Yahovah were prophets, and that Yahovah would put his spirit upon them. So again, we've got Yahushua speaking here and learning from Moshe. Numbers 11, sorry, that's the same scripture. Numbers 13, verse 30 says, And Caleb silenced the people before Moshe. Now this is interesting. The first time the people are rebelling after the sin of the spies, it's Caleb who silences the people before Moshe. Yahushua is not actually mentioned at this point. The way that it goes down, according to the Torah, is that Caleb silences them. In Numbers 14, so shortly after this, we see Yahushua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Yefunah, who were among those who spied out the land. Both of them tore their garments, and they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, The land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If Yahovah is delighted in us, then he shall bring us into this land, and give it to us, a land which is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahovah, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense is turned away from them, and Yahovah is with us. Do not fear them. And I would suggest that what we see at this point is something that we actually see in Yahushua throughout the Torah. And what I would suggest that is initial hesitance, that perhaps an initial fear. But when it comes to it, Yahushua will stand on the word of Yahovah. He demonstrates this fear, but then that is overcome with the word of Yehovah. No matter how afraid he is, and we're going to see numerous examples of this, no matter how afraid he is, it's always the word of Yehovah that he goes with. And he actually turns out to be a very effective leader. The same generation that under Moses' leadership were rebelling and suffering plagues, under Joshua's leadership, they are much better. There is very little sin in the second generation under Joshua's leadership. And what we're going to see as we go through, I'm going to suggest to you that it's because they can relate more to Joshua, that he is weak and has fear in the same things that they are afraid of, whereas Moshe doesn't have that fear and he's not afraid of the things that they're afraid of. Joshua is, but the important thing about Joshua is, although he has that element so that he can relate to the people and they can relate to him, when it comes to the crunch, every time he's right there and he's standing on what the word says. And no matter how scared he is, whatever his fears are, it's the word of Yehovah that sees him through. So let's look at the evidence for this. Deuteronomy 1 verse 38 says, Yahushua the son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall go in there. Strengthen him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit. So this is Yehovah speaking to Moshe, and he says to strengthen Yahushua. Okay, so again, there's the suggestion that there is some kind of weakness there that he needs to be strengthened, that he needs to be emboldened. Deuteronomy 3:28 says, but charge Yahushua, strengthen him, and make him brave, for he shall pass over before this people. Okay, so again, there's this suggestion that he needs to be strengthened, that he needs to be made brave. And he has this fear within him that we'll see in the book of Joshua. But every time when it comes to, am I going to go with my fears and follow after, going after the way that I would like things to be, or am I going to do what is scary and do what Yehovah asks of me? Every single time Joshua comes through, and he is this example to the people that he's leading. Deuteronomy 31:7-8 says, and Moshe called Yahushua and said to him before the eyes of all Israel, be strong and courageous. This is something that we see repeated to Joshua by Moshe, by Yehovah, and also at one point by the actual people. They're encouraging him themselves. Like they want him to succeed. They're saying, be strong and courageous in this, for you are going with this people to the land which Yehovah has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you are to let them inherit it. For it is Yehovah who is going before you. He himself is with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be discouraged. And it's always this which pulls Yahushua through, that Yehovah is with him. When Yehovah is with him and he's got Yehovah's word to stand on, it doesn't matter how daunted he might be initially, he always comes through. Deuteronomy 3:23, and he commanded Yahushua son of Nun and said, be strong and courageous, for you are to bring the children of Israel into the land of which I swore to them, and I myself am with you. So here Yehovah is encouraging him directly, be strong and courageous. I am with you. You can depend on me. And this theme is seen right at the beginning of the book of Joshua. It came to be after the death of Moshe, the servant of Yehovah, that Yehovah spoke to Yahushua, son of Nun, the assistant of Moshe, saying, Moshe, my servant, is dead. So now arise, pass over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving to them, to the children of Israel. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads, I have given you, as I spoke to Moshe. from the wilderness and from this Lebanon, even as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea toward the going down of the sun is your border. No man is going to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so I am with you. I do not fail you, nor forsake you. So in Joshua's fear, all the way through, Yehovah is encouraging him. He's saying, be strong and courageous. I'm with you. I'm with you. Verse 6 says, be strong and courageous, for you are to let this people inherit the land, which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and courageous to God to do according to all the Torah that Moshe my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it right or left, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Do not let this book of the Torah depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you guard to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous and act wisely. So he's encouraging him in this, and he's saying, look, as long as you stick to the Torah, your way will be prosperous. I'm with you. Be strong and courageous. Do the Torah. Guard everything that is in it. And we have these same promises from Yehovah. When fear arises in our hearts, Yehovah says to us, do not fear. Be strong and courageous. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, nor be discouraged. For Yehovah your Elohim is with you wherever you go. And Yahushua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the midst of the camp and command the people, saying, prepare food for yourselves, for within 3 days you are passing over this Yarden to go in to possess the land which Yehovah your Elohim is giving you to possess. And Yahushua spoke to the Reuvenites and to the Gadites and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, saying, remember the word which Moshe, servant of Yehovah, commanded you, saying, Yehovah your Elohim is giving you rest, and he shall give you this land. Let your wives, your little ones, and your livestock stay in the land which Moshe gave you beyond the Yarden. But you shall pass before your brothers in fives, all your brave fighters, and shall help them. Until Yehovah has given your brothers rest, as unto you, so shall they also take possession of the land which Yehovah your Elohim is giving them. Then you shall return to the land of your possession, and shall possess that which Moshe the servant of Yehovah gave you beyond the Yarden, toward the rising of the sun. And we'll actually see that event happen in next week's Torah portion. And they answered Yahushua, saying, all that you have commanded us, we do. Wherever you send us, we go. According to all that we obeyed Moshe, so we obey you. Only let Yehovah, your Elohim, be with you as he was with Moshe. So the people are encouraging Yahushua at this point. Whoever rebels against your command and does not obey your words in that you command him, he is put to death. Only be strong and courageous. You can almost see it in Moshe and Yehovah and the people. They know that Joshua has got it in him. They know that he believes Yehovah. He's a man who followed Yehovah wholly. The thing that he is encouraged in is to be strong and courageous. And we know that Yahushua is a picture of Yeshua. In fact, at the end of Yahushua's life, his name is Yeshua. You read Yeshua, son of Nun, in the scriptures. He has these fears the same as the people have them. When it came to Moshe, that wasn't really the case. Moshe was very resolute. Moshe's faith was unwavering, which is excellent. But Yahushua, they listened to him. They seemed to be on his side. They would encourage him to be strong and courageous. And in return, they believed as Joshua believed when they went into the land under his leadership in particular. We know he's a picture of Yeshua, and the same is true of Yeshua. In Hebrews 4 verse 15 it says, for we do not have a high priest unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who was tried in all respects as we are, apart from sin, just like Yahushua. We see he is tried in all respects as the people of Israel are, but the difference is that he is without sin. In Matthew 26:36-39, it says, Then Yeshua came with them to a place called Gethsemane and said to the disciples, Sit here while I go over there and pray. And he took with him Kepha and the two sons of Zabdi, and he began to be grieved and deeply distressed. Yeshua, very much like Joshua. In Joshua, we have an amazing picture of Yeshua. Then he said to them, My soul is exceedingly grieved, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. Whereas Moshe isn't like this. They never see this sort of weakness in Moshe. Yeshua is the same. He doesn't have a problem turning to his disciples and telling them that he is exceedingly grieved over this. He's deeply distressed. Going forward a little, he fell on his face and prayed, saying, Oh, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not my will be done, but yours. And Yeshua is our example. We can look to when Yeshua did this, that he was distressed and he was grieved, and yet he did what the will of the Father is. And we can look to Yeshua, and these people, they could look to Yahushua for this same encouragement, that even though he was afraid, okay, he would stand on the Father's word. He would do the Father's will. It was the same thing for him. You be willing, let this cup pass from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done. In Galatians 3:22-25, it says, The scripture has shut up all mankind under sin, that the promise by belief in Yeshua Messiah might be given to those who believe. But before belief came, we were guarded under Torah, having been shut up for the belief being about to be revealed. Okay, so the scripture has shut up all mankind under sin. The Torah, we were guarded under Torah until belief came. It's another name for Torah. What else is Torah called? Moses. We were guarded under Moses until belief came, until Yahushua came, who was that example of belief. Moses was fairly unyielding. Nobody paralleled Moses in his obedience. It was just unwavering, and he did whatever Yahovah said to do. Yahushua, a picture of Yeshua, though, he was different. The people could relate to him, that he was fearful as they were fearful, but he had belief, and they could take that belief. And the people under his leadership undoubtedly stopped being the rebellious people that they were when they only had Moshe without that example of belief. Therefore, the Torah, Moshe, became our trainer unto Messiah, Yahushua, in order to be declared right by belief. And after belief has come, we are no longer under a trainer. And that's what we see with these people. These people begin to believe. They don't just have the word, they don't just have Moshe, they have this example of belief as we have in Yeshua. Hebrews 4:1-3 says, Therefore, since a promise remains of entering into his rest, let us fear lest any of you seem to have come short of it. For indeed the good news was brought to us as well as to them. But the word which they heard did not profit them, not having been mixed with belief in those who heard it. And we see examples of this, primarily the first generation, but we do see the second generation acting in this same way. But there was a change in their behavior when that example, Yahushua, a picture of Yeshua, came, that example of belief. The word didn't profit them when it wasn't mixed with belief. For we who have believed do enter into that rest. picture being clear here. Yahushua led those people into the inheritance of the land. Yeshua will lead us into that inheritance, we who have believed, and those who under Yahushua's leadership began to believe, entered into the inheritance also. So, Yahushua's leadership, this is what we'll see through his life. See, Jericho, the story of Rachav and the spies, then the crossing of the Jordan. Yahushua circumcises the second generation, and they perform the Passover in Gilgal. Okay, so that's why he circumcises them, so that they can all do the Passover. The manna ceases, and they begin to eat the food of Canaan. The captain of the host, Yahovah, incarnate as the captain of the host, appears to Yahushua. Jericho, when the walls fall, this is the order that happens in the book of Joshua. And then we have them coming to Ai, getting defeated. It being revealed it was because of Achan's sin, and then them going and taking the city of Ai. Then they build the altar at Mount Ebal. Again, this is the order that happens in the book of Joshua. They're actually commanded to do this as soon as they've crossed over the Jordan. So whether or not they did, and whether it's just like the first 5 books, it's out of chronological order in some places. This is the order it happens in the book of Joshua. Yahushua makes a covenant with the men of Givon. Yahushua speaks to Yahovah and commands the sun to stop in the midst of the heavens. Yahushua divides the land as he was commanded to. Yahushua appoints the cities of refuge at that point. The heads of the Levites come to Eleazar and Yahushua to ask for their cities from among the inheritance of the children of Israel, and they are given. Yahushua concludes the inheritance being given to all parties to whom it was due. Yahovah gives Israel rest from their enemies all around. Pinchas investigates the building of an altar by the 2.5 tribes. Yahushua assembles Israel to speak to them about Yahovah's place in their lives and where they're at. And then Yahushua dies at the age of 110. So I'm going to briefly go through some of those events to point you to some interesting things within it. Joshua 3 verse 7, Yahovah said to Yahushua, "This day I begin to make you great before the eyes of all Israel, so that they know that I am with you, as I was with Moshe." So this is this theme that we keep seeing. Israel are going to know that I'm with you as I was with Moshe. Again, I'm with you as I was with Moshe. I'm going to prove it to the people, and the way that it's proven to them is when the Jordan is stopped. Joshua 3:15-16 says, "And as those bearing the ark came to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests bearing the ark dipped in the edge of the water, now the Jordan overflows all its banks during all the time of harvest. That the waters came down from upstream, stood still, rose in a heap, very far away at Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan. And the waters going down into the sea of the Arafah, the salt sea, were completely cut off, and the people passed over opposite Jericho." Okay, so the way the people know the Yahovah is with Yehoshua as well as he was with Moshe is with a sign remarkably similar to when Moshe held out the rod and the waters parted. We see these parallels between Joshua and Moshe. But as we've seen, Joshua is also like Yeshua, and he's this leader that the people of Israel begin to believe under. So we'll see these parallels where he's kind of like Moshe. He is also like Yeshua. Joshua 5:13-15, it says, "It came to be when Yehoshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked and saw a man standing opposite him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Yehoshua went to him and said to him, 'Are you for us or for our adversaries?'" This is remarkably similar to when the angel of Yehovah appears to Moshe in the burning bush. And he said, "No, for I have now come as captain of the host of Yehovah." And Yehoshua fell on his face to the earth and did obeisance. He worships him because this is Yehovah, and said to him, "What is my master saying to his servant?" And the captain of the host said to Yehoshua, "Take your sandal off your foot, for the place where you stand is set apart." And Yehoshua did so. This is interesting because this is very similar to what happened at the burning bush, but this is actually different. Whereas Moshe was told to take off both of his shoes, here Yehoshua is told to take off one. Again, perhaps suggesting this dichotomy which is present in Yehoshua, which was not present in Moshe. Joshua 7:2-12 says, "Now Yehoshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is beside Beth Aven, on the east side of Bethel, and spoke to them, saying, 'Go up and spy out the land.'" Again, this is remarkably similar to events that we see in the life of Moshe. Here, however, the outcome is different under Yehoshua's leadership. "And the men went up and spied out Ai. And they returned to Yehoshua and said to him, 'Let not all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and smite Ai. Do not make all the people toil up there, for the people of Ai are few.' And about 3,000 men went up there from the people, but they fled before the men of Ai. The men of Ai smote about 36 men, for they pursued them from before the gate as far as Shepharim, and smote them on the descent. So the hearts of the people melted and became like water." Okay, so imagine what Moshe's response would have perhaps been in this case. Do you think that Moshe's heart would have melted and been like water? It's not the way that Moshe comes across to me. And again, just to re-emphasize here, I do think we have this beautiful picture of kind of by the works of the Torah, by the works of Moshe alone, instead of Moshe with belief. Not that Moshe didn't have belief, but we've got the example of Yehoshua, who has that weakness, he has that fear in the face of these things, just like Yeshua did. But just like Yeshua, he demonstrates belief to the people. They see that he's scared, but he goes ahead and he stands on the word of Yehovah. And no matter how scared he always is obedient. Yehoshua tore his garments and fell to the earth on his face before the ark of Yehovah until evening, both he and the elders of Israel, and they put dust on their heads. And Yehoshua said, "O Master Yehovah, why have you brought this people over the Jordan at all, to give us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us?" Who does he sound like here? He sounds like the people. He has these similar fears as the people. If only we had been content to stay beyond the Jordan. But who does he sound like now? "O Yehovah, what do I say when Israel turns its backs before its enemies, and the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land here, and shall surround us and shall cut off our name from the earth? What then do you do for your great name?" So here he sounds like Moshe. He's the synthesis of these two things, but he shows belief in this circumstance. He actively demonstrates what it is to have faith, as Yeshua does. Yehovah said to Yehoshua, "Rise up, why are you lying on your face? Yisrael has sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant which I commanded them. So he comes and he says, why did you bring the people over here if it wasn't actually true that you were going to be with them? And Yehovah says, rise up, why are you lying on your face? They've sinned against me. So Yahushua knows that his word is true at this point. His fear was that Yehovah was going against his word and he was appealing to him. But Yehovah says, no, these people have sinned. They've transgressed my covenant, which I commanded them. And they have even taken some of that which is under the ban and have stolen and deceived and also put it among their own goods. And the sons of Israel shall not be able to stand before their enemies. They are going to turn their backs before their enemies, for they have become accursed. I am not with you anymore, unless you destroy that which is under the ban from your midst. In Joshua 8:33-35, we see all Israel, the sojourner, as well as the native, with their elders, officers, and judges, stood on either side of the ark before the priests, the Levites, who bore the ark of the covenant of Yehovah. Half of them were in front of Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moshe, the servant of Yehovah, had commanded before that they should bless the people of Israel. And afterward, he read all the words of the Torah, the blessings and the cursings, according to all that is written in the book of the Torah. There was not a word of all that Moshe had commanded which Yahushua did not read before all the assembly of Israel, with the women and the little ones and the sojourners who accompanied them. These sojourners are mentioned twice, and this is something that we see in the book of Joshua. We really get to grips with the fact that to Yehovah, it doesn't matter your genetic lineage. It doesn't matter whether you are actually somebody who came from Abraham's loins. What matters is whether you follow the Torah. We see this with Rachav. Rachav is not an Israelite, but because she submits to Yehovah, because she is somebody who has faith, then she is accepted. We also see it with Achan. Achan is an Israelite, but he goes against the word of Yehovah and he is executed. And here we've got all of Israel present, and mentioned twice there are these sojourners who are with them, who can be a part of Israel. This is an enduring message of the scriptures, but we particularly see it in the book of Joshua. Joshua 9:1-2 says, it came to be when all the kings who were beyond the Jordan, in the hills and in the low country and in all the coasts of the great sea towards Lebanon, the Hittite and the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Jebusite heard, they gathered together to fight with Yahushua and Israel with one accord. So, of course, Yahushua undergoes great kind of military resistance, just as when they came to spy out the land, the spies were afraid of. But Yahushua, showing that belief, said, no, Yehovah has said that he is going to be with us. And we see these events start to take place, and Yahushua start to move through the land and have these military conquests. In Joshua 10:6-13, it says, and the men of Givon said to Yahushua at the camp of Gilgal, saying, do not withdraw your hand from your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us. Help us, for all the sovereigns, the kings of the Amorites who dwell in the mountains, have assembled against us. And Yahushua went up from Gilgal, he and all the soldiers with him, and all the mighty brave men. And Yehovah said to Yahushua, do not fear them, for I have given them into your hand. Not one of them does stand before you. Again, Yehovah is encouraging him here. Don't fear them. I've given them into your hand. Not one of them stands before you. So then Yahushua came upon them suddenly, having gone up all night from Gilgal. And Yehovah threw them into confusion before Israel. And they smote them with a great slaughter at Givon, and pursued them along the way that goes to Beth Horon, and smote them as far as Azekah, and Makedah. So here we see Yahoshua's belief. We see a circumstance wherein Yahovah does something which would not have even entered into Yahoshua's head as something that he might do. He might throw them all into confusion, that he would make them all attack one another, and all the other things that Yahovah describes as how he brings about these conquests. Sending hornets before the people, he acts in ways that Yahoshua could have never known. But it is enough for Yahoshua to know that he has said, "Do not fear, I am with you, they will not stand against you." He doesn't need all the rest of the details. A great lesson for us following his example. And it came to be, as they fled before Yisrael and were on the descent of Beit Horon, that Yehovah threw down large hailstones from the heavens on them, as far as Azekah, and they died. There were more who died from the hailstones than those whom the sons of Yisrael had slain with the sword. Then Yahoshua spoke to Yahovah in the day when Yahovah gave the Amorites over to the children of Yisrael, and he said before the eyes of Yisrael, "Sun, stand still over Givon, and moon in the valley of Ayalon." So the sun stood still and the moon stopped till the nation avenged itself upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Yashar, that the sun stopped in the midst of the heavens and did not hasten to go down for an entire day? So in the face of all this belief, we see Yehovah responding with these great acts. He's sending hailstones from heaven. He's putting the people in confusion, and he stops the sun and the moon in the midst of the heavens. In Joshua 10:25, it says, "Then Yahoshua said to the people," this is how he encourages them, "Do not be afraid, nor be discouraged. Be strong and courageous, for this is what Yahovah is going to do to all your enemies whom you are fighting." So this is how Yahoshua is as a leader. Okay, the people can relate to him because he's fearful of the same things, and he offers them the same encouragement that Yahovah has offered to him. Joshua 10:40-43, it says, "Thus Yahushua smote all the land, the mountain country in the south, and the low country and the wilderness slopes. All their kings he left no survivor, but put all that breathed under the ban, as Yahovah Elohim had commanded. And Yahushua smote them from Kadesh Barnea as far as Azar, and all the land of Goshen, even as far as Gavon. And Yahushua captured all these kings in their land at one time, because Yahovah Elohim of Yisrael fought for Yisrael." Yahushua returned, and all Yisrael with him, to the camp at Gilgal. You'll see them camping at Gilgal for a long time in the book of Joshua. Joshua 13:1-6 says, "And Yahushua was old and advanced in years, and Yahovah said to him, 'You are old, advanced in years, and still much of the land remains to be possessed. This is the land that remains, all the districts of the Philistines and all the Gershurites, from Shechor, which is in front of Mitzrayim, and up to the border of Ekron, northward, are considered as Canaanite. The 5 princes of the Philistines, the Azathites and the Ashdodites, the Ashkelonites, the Gittites and the Ekronites, and the Avites. On the south, all the land of the Canaanites and the Me'arah that belongs to the Zidonians and to Aphek, as far as to the border of the Amorites, and the land of the Gebalites in all Lebanon, toward the sunrise from Baal Gad below Mount Chemon, as far as the entrance to Hamath. All the inhabitants of the mountains from Lebanon as far as Mishrephoth Maim, and all the Sidonians, I myself drive them out from before the children of Israel, only divide it by lot to Israel as an inheritance, as I've commanded you." So basically he says, look, Joshua, you're getting old. There's a lot of this fight left to fight. Let me sort that out. You divide this now by lot to Yisrael as an inheritance. A command that we saw given in this Torah portion, and we will learn more about next Torah portion next week. Joshua 14 verse 1 says, Now these, the children of Yisrael, inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest and Yehoshua son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Yisrael caused them to inherit. And we hear about this. All the congregation of the children of Yisrael assembled at Shiloh, and they let the tent of meeting dwell there, and the land was subdued before them. 7 tribes were left among the children of Israel who had not yet shared their inheritance. So Yehoshua said to the children of Israel, Till when are you going to fail to go in and possess the land which Jehovah Elohim your fathers has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe, and let me send them out to go through the land and describe it according to their inheritance and come back to me. So this is kind of like the sin of the sending out of the spies at the sin of the spies, but it's different. Here 21 men are sent out, 3 from each of the 7 tribes. And he says that he wants them to describe the land and come back to him for the purpose of him dividing it by lot. And they shall divide it into 7 portions. Yehudah stays within their borders on the south. The house of Yosef stays within their border on the north. And you shall describe the land in 7 portions, and shall bring it to me. Then I shall cast lots for you here before Yehovah our Elohim. But the Levites have no portion among you, for the priesthood of Yehovah is their inheritance. And Gad and Reuven and half the tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond the Jordan on the east, which Moshe the servant of Yehovah gave them. Again, we'll see that next week. So the men rose up and went, and Yehoshua commanded those who went to describe the land, saying, Go, walk through the land, and describe it. Come back to me, and let me cast lots for you here before Yehovah in Shiloh. And the men went and passed through the land and described it in a book in 7 portions by cities. And they came to Yehoshua at the camp in Shiloh. And Yehoshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before Yehovah. And Yehoshua divided the lands of the children of Israel according to their portions. Joshua 19:49-50. When they had ended dividing the land as an inheritance according to their borders, the children of Israel gave an inheritance to Yehoshua, son of Nun, in their midst. According to the mouth of Yehovah, they gave him the city which he asked for, Timnah Serach in the mountains of Ephraim, and he built the city and dwelt in it. And I wonder if this is a picture of what Yeshua will do, whether Yeshua will divide the land by lot to the tribes, and whether Yeshua will be given the city which he asked for, Yerushalayim. Just a thought. Joshua 21:43-45. Thus Yehovah gave to Israel all of the land of which he had sworn to give to their fathers, and they took possession of it and dwelt in it. And Yehovah gave them rest all around according to all that he had sworn to their fathers, and not a man of all their enemies stood against them. Yehovah gave all their enemies into their hand. Not a word failed of any of the good word which Yehovah had spoken to the house of Israel. All came in. This should be a lesson to us of what happens when you follow the word by belief. Now, these people were not perfect, just as we will not be perfect. Okay, these people made a covenant with some of the people of the land. For example, they didn't drive out all of the Canaanites, and that certainly comes back to bite them. But they followed by belief, and not a word failed of any of the good word which Yehovah had spoken to the house of Israel. And we can actually take a lesson from them, not casting out all the Canaanite influences that they had all around them, and what actually ends up ultimately happening to this generation, who are the best generation to go in with the best leader thus far. Yehovah willing, we will be the all-round best generation to be led into the land with the actual best leader, Yeshua. But we'll come to that. Joshua 22, 1-6 says, Then Yahushua called for the Reubenites, the Gadites, the half-tribe of Manasseh, and said to them, You have guarded all that Moshe the servant of Yahovah commanded you, and have obeyed my voice in all that I commanded you. You have not left your brothers these many days up to this day, but you have guarded the charge, the command of Yahovah, your Elohim. So they had to go, the wives and their children could stay behind on the other side of the Jordan as long as they went and they fought with the other tribes. And this is what's being acknowledged here. Now, Yahovah your Elohim has given rest to your brothers as he promised them. So now return and go to your tents and to your land of your possession, which Moshe the servant of Yahovah gave you beyond the Ardain. Only diligently guard to do the command in the Torah which Moshe the servant of Yahovah commanded you, to love Yahovah your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, to cherish his commands, and to cling to him, to serve him with all your heart and all your soul. This is exactly what we see Yahushua doing. Although he is fearful in certain instances, he loves Yahovah, he clings to him, he walks in all his ways, and he cherishes his commands and his words as if they are the very source of his life, which of course they are. And Yahushua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their tents. In Joshua 22, 11-34, we see a very interesting incident with these people, with the 2.5 tribes on the other side of the Ardain. It says, The children of Yisrael heard it and said, See, the children of Reuven and the children of Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar opposite the land of Canaan, in the districts of the Ardain, at the border of the children of Yisrael. And of course, you are not allowed to offer burnt offerings anywhere else other than Jerusalem. To do so would be a transgression of the Torah. And when the children of Israel heard, all the congregation of the children of Israel assembled at Shiloh to go to fight against them. So the children of Israel sent Pinchas, here he is again, Pinchas, son of Eleazar the priest, to the children of Reuven and to the children of Gad, to the half-tribe of Manasseh, into the land of Gilead. So he goes now with these 10 rulers to investigate what has happened with these 2.5 tribes on the other side of the Ardain. 10 rulers with him, 1 ruler each from the chief house of every tribe of Israel, and each one was the head of the house of his father among the divisions, or the Sebaot of Israel. And they came to the children of Reuven, and to the children of Gad, and to the half-tribe of Manasseh, to the land of Gilead, and spoke with them, saying, Thus says all the congregation of Yahovah, What is this trespass you have committed against the Elohim of Israel, to turn away this day from following Yahovah, in that you have built yourself an altar to rebel against Yahovah this day? So these are a remarkable people. They go out to actively pursue this sin. They've seen what happened to Achan, and that all of the congregation of Israel were held accountable for what happened with Achan. And now these people are zealous. And we've got them here led by Pinchas coming to these 2.5 tribes saying, What is this that you have done? Is the iniquity of Pa'or not enough for us? Again, Pinchas, after the iniquity of Pa'or in his zealousness, thrust through Cosbi and Zimri, from which we have not been cleansed to this day, although there was a plague in the congregation of Yahovah, that you turn away today from following Yahovah. And it shall be, if you rebel today against Yahovah, that tomorrow he is wroth with all the congregation of Israel. And indeed, if the land of your possession is unclean, then pass over to the land of the possession of Yahovah, where the dwelling place of Yahovah dwells, and take possession among us. But do not rebel against Yahovah, nor rebel against us, by building yourselves an altar besides the altar of Yahovah our Elohim. Did not Achan, son of Zerach, commit trespass in that which is under the ban? And wrath fell on all the congregation of Israel, and he was not the only one to die for his iniquity. Then the children of Reuven and the children of Gad and half-tribe of Manasseh answered and said to the heads of the divisions of Israel. And what a difference in what they answer to what the children of Israel answer in future generations when the prophets come to them to challenge them over similar things. They say, El Elohim Yahovah, El Elohim Yahovah. He knows, and let Yisrael itself know. If this has been rebellion, or if in trespass against Yahovah, do not save us this day. If we have built ourselves an altar to turn from following Yahovah, or if to offer burnt offerings or grain offerings on it, or to make peace offerings on it, let Yahovah himself require it. But truly, from fear, for a reason we did this, saying, in time to come your sons might speak to our sons, saying, what have you to do with Yahovah Elohim of Yisrael? For Yahovah has made the Yarden a border between you and us. Your children, you children of Reuven and children of Gad, you have no portion with Yahovah. So your sons will make our sons stop fearing Yahovah. So they're afraid that their sons, the sons of the 9.5 tribes on the other side of the Yarden, are going to turn around one day and say, you've got no part with Yahovah, and their sons will believe them and would actually stop fearing Yahovah. So we said, let us now prepare to build ourselves an altar, not for burnt offering, nor for sacrifice, but to be a witness between you and us and our generations after us, to do the service of Yahovah before him, with our burnt offerings, with our sacrifices, and with our peace offerings, that your sons should not say to our sons, in time to come, you have no portion with Yahovah. So we said that it shall be, when they say this to us, or to our generations in time to come, that we shall say, see the pattern of the altar of Yahovah, which our fathers made, though not for burnt offerings, nor for sacrifices, but it is a witness between you and us. Far be it from us to rebel against Yahovah, and to turn from following Yahovah this day, to build an altar for burnt offerings, or for grain offerings, or for sacrifices, besides the altar of Yahovah our Elohim, which is before his dwelling place. We would never do such a thing. Far be it from us to do such a thing. This altar is to remind future generations that it is a witness between you and them, and they are a part of Yisrael, and they would not be turned away from fearing Yahovah. And Pinchas the priest, and the rulers of the congregation, the heads of the thousands of Yisrael who were with him, heard the words of the children of Reuven and the children of Gad and the children of Manasseh spoke, and it was good in their eyes. And Pinchas, son of Eleazar the priest, said to the children of Reuven, said to the children of Gad and to the children of Manasseh, today we know that Yahovah is in our midst, because you have not committed against Yahovah this trespass. Now you have delivered the children of Israel out of the hand of Yahovah. And Pinchas, son of Eleazar the priest, and the rulers returned from the children of Reuven and the children of Gad and the land of Gilead to the land of Canaan and to the children of Israel, and brought back word to them. So the matter was good in the eyes of the children of Israel, and the children of Israel blessed Elohim, and they spoke no more of going against to fight to destroy the land where the children of Reuven and Gad dwelt. And the children of Reuven and the children of Gad called the altar a witness between us that Yahovah is Elohim. So these people are doing pretty well. Joshua 23. It came to be a long time after Yahovah had given rest to Israel from all their enemies round about, that Yahoshua was old, advanced in years. And Yahoshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said to them, I am old and advanced in years, and you have seen all that Yahovah your Elohim has done to all these nations because of you. For Yahovah your Elohim is he who is fighting for you. See, I have divided to you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes from the Yarden, with all the nations that I have cut off, as far as the great sea toward the setting of the sun. And Yahovah your Elohim thrust them out from before you, and shall drive them out from before you, and you shall possess their land as Yahovah your Elohim has promised you. and you shall be very strong to guard and to do all that is written in the book of the Torah of Moshe, so as not to turn aside from it right or left. And this kind of seems like the culmination of everything we've read in the Torah. This is the promise that was made to Abraham, that the inheritance will be given to his descendants. And here we have these people, these righteous people who by belief are following Yahushua, that example of belief. Despite his fears, he always stood on the word of Yahovah, this excellent example to them. And here they are in the land. And yet we know something goes wrong from this point. Something, praise Yahovah, means that we will be the people to enter into the land under the hand of Yeshua, and that will be what endures, and that will be the true inheritance, the true fulfillment of the inheritance. So what could cause such a problem? Joshua 24:14-28 says, "And now fear Yahovah, serve him in perfection and in truth. Put away the gods which your fathers served beyond the river and in Mitzrayim, and serve Yahovah." What? The people, they do not put away the Canaanite people from among them, even though they're warned, if you don't do this, they'll lead you astray and you'll go after their gods and you'll be led astray from Yahovah. And here we see that they still have gods which their fathers served beyond the river among them. This is a powerful message for us if we want to be that generation. We want to be those people who enter into the land with Yeshua. We cannot put up with influences of Canaan in our life, with the gods that our fathers served beyond the river, whatever that might look like in your life. You cannot allow that to be a part of your walk with Elohim. You will end up as these people ended up. As good as they were and as much as they walked in belief, this is where they end up. If it seems evil in your eyes to serve Yahovah, choose for yourselves this day who you are going to serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But I and my house, we serve Yahovah. The same choice is given to us today. Through laxity and removing influences in their lives, they end up worshipping idols. We have to be diligent that the same doesn't happen to us. If you have things in your life which you know should not be there, and you do not remove them, do not expect that you're going to be the special person that this doesn't happen to, because that is not the teaching of Scripture. The people answered and said, "Far be it from us to forsake Yahovah to serve other gods," just as people would say today. They say, of course we serve Yahovah, of course we do, even though they've still got these things in their lives. For Yahovah, our Elohim, is he who brought us and our fathers up out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage, who did these great signs before our eyes, and has guarded us in all the way that we went, and among all the people through whom we passed. And it's the same sort of thing that people take solace in, even with these things in their life today. Oh no, Elohim has done many great things. Yahovah has done many great things in my life, many great signs. I know that I'm one of his people. I've walked in belief in all of these things, and this, that, and the other, and I've shown my belief that I was right there. It's just this one thing. I can't quite get my head around this. I'm not going to do this. But I'll be okay. You know, Elohim is my Elohim. He's done many wonderful things in my life. I know. Don't be fooled. These people had the same outlook. Yahovah drove out from before us all the people, even the Amorites who dwelt in the land. We too serve Yahovah, for he is our Elohim. Then Yahushua said to the people, "You are not able to serve Yahovah, for he is a set-apart Elohim, a zealous El is he. He does not bear with your transgression and with your sins, and do not think that he will bear with your transgressions and your sins. If you forsake Jehovah and shall serve gods of a stranger, set up idols in your heart, then he shall turn back and do you evil and consume you after he has been good to you. Do not let that be you. And the people said to Yahushua, no, but we do serve Jehovah. Then Yahushua said to the people, you are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen Jehovah for yourselves to serve him. And they said, witnesses. Don't be those people. Acknowledge where you are. Look within your heart. Do you have any idols in there? Is there anything that you're holding back? Or have you circumcised your heart to Jehovah? Will you be one of the people who, in the fulfillment of what we see here, enter into the land under Yeshua's leadership in belief? And now put away the gods of the stranger which are in your midst, and incline your heart to Yehovah Elohim of Israel. There's really not much more that you can say to people when you see that they've got these idols in their heart, apart from put away those idols which are in your midst, and incline your heart to Yehovah, circumcise your heart. And the people said to Yahushua, Yehovah our Elohim we serve, and his voice we obey. And Yahushua made a covenant with the people that day and laid on them a law and a justice in Shechem. Then Yahushua wrote these words in the book of the Torah of Elohim, and he took a large stone and he set it up there under the oak that was by the set apart place of Yehovah. Yahushua wrote these words in the book of the Torah of Elohim. To me, when I think about this is something Charlie and I have discussed recently. The book of Joshua is the actual end to the Torah portions. If you end at the end of Deuteronomy, you end with Torah portion Hazinu, where you get this prophecy that the people are going to go astray and do all these bad things. Whereas if you end with the book of Joshua, you have this amazing story, prophetic, of us being led into the land, of these people who go in and act in belief, and they're good and they're righteous people. They have their flaws, but they're good and they're righteous people. They're led in under the leadership of Yahushua. And it's a much more complete telling of that story of them being taken out in the Exodus from Mitzrayim. It's the actual end of these narratives which we've been going through in cycles year after year and stopping short of the actual fulfillment of the narrative and the pictures which come from that. We miss all of those things. So this year, when we end going through the book of Deuteronomy, we're going to continue on into the book of Joshua, and perhaps that will be what we do in subsequent years as well. So that's the announcement that I find particularly exciting, because I hope you've got a little bit of a glimpse of the book of Joshua. It contains some amazing things. I didn't even scratch the surface when I was going through it. I just pointed out a few little things here and there. Another announcement for anybody who's in the UK who attends the fellowship: we will be meeting back at the hall from the 4th of July onwards. So 4th of July, I believe, will be Charlie's Torah portion next week, mine the week after, and then Charlie's the week after that. I think that's how it works out, and that will actually be the 4th of July. But it falls on a Shabbat, and that will be the first day that we will be meeting back at the hall. So we'll all be able to meet together and fellowship again from that point. We will continue through the book of Deuteronomy, which we'll be in when we get there, to the end, and then we will continue on and push through the book of Joshua. And Yahushua said to all the people, "See, this stone is a witness to us, for it has heard all the words of Yahovah which he has spoken to us. And it shall be a witness against you, lest you lie against your Elohim. Then Yehoshua sent people away, each to his own inheritance. Now these events are recorded in the book of Joshua at the end of chapter 24, where we get a little bit more information given in the book of Judges. The angel of Yahovah came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I led you up from Mitzrayim and brought you to the land of which I swore to your fathers. And I said, I do not break my covenant with you. And as for you, do not make a covenant with the inhabitants of this land. Break down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. What is this that you have done? This is one of the things that this generation do. They don't get rid of the Canaanites from around them, and they go astray into the worship of idols. Therefore I also said, I am not driving them out before you, and they shall be adversaries to you, and their gods shall be a snare to you. You take away anything from this part, take that away. If you don't drive them out, their gods will be a snare to you. It came to be when the angel of Yahovah spoke these words to all the children of Israel that the people lifted up their voice and wept. So they called the name of that place Bochim and sacrificed there to Yahovah. Then Yahushua dismissed the people, and the children of Israel went each to his own inheritance to possess the land. And the people served Yahovah all the days of Yahushua, and all the days of the elders who outlived Yahushua, who had seen all the great works of Yahovah which he had done for Israel. And Yahushua, son of Nun, the servant of Yahovah, died 110 years old, and they buried him within the border of his inheritance at Timnath Heres, in the mountains of Ephraim on the north side of Mount Gaash. And all that generation were likewise gathered to their fathers, and another generation arose after them, who did not know Yehovah, nor the works which he had done for Israel. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for your word. Thank you for what an amazing gift it is for us to be able to go through it and learn what has happened to people before us, so that you give us a chance to learn from their mistakes and to see the pitfalls which they stumbled into. I thank you, Father, for the sign of the covenant. I thank you for the covenant that you made with Abraham, and that we can be a part of that, and that the inheritance is promised to him too. And I look forward to the day when that promise that you made to Abraham is finally fulfilled, and we've inherited the land, and all causes of sin, all sinners will be removed. Thank you for your amazing promises, and thank you that we get to be a part of them. We get to be a part of your words of life. Thank you, Father.